Hari Om. Am I audible clearly? Okay, thank you. Om Sahana Bhavatu, Sahanau Bhunaktu, Sahaviryam Karavavahai, Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Samastajana Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram अनेकजन्मार्जितपुण्यप्राप्तः मया गुरुर्यो जगति प्रसिद्धः यस्य प्रसादेन मनः प्रशान्तं बभूवमेतं शिरसा नमामि कृतज्ञताया च हृदि स्थिता मे वक्तुं न शक्या खलु यत्नतोऽपि गुरु प्रसीद कृपया विधेहि त्वत्पादभक्तिं परमानुरक्तिम्. Hari Om, salutations to all. We are observing the 29th Mahasamadhi day of Poojya Gurudev Swami Chinmayananda, and we had today morning the Paduka Puja, Japa and meditation. Now we will reflect upon some letters that Poojya Gurudev wrote. For him, letter writing also was Ishwar Upasana, just like talking and giving yajnas. He would say that this Yajnashala is my puja room, the audience is my Ishvara, and the lecture I am giving is my glorification and puja of the Ishvara who is in Virat Roop. Same way, he used to write letters in the morning, and people, once Gurudev came to the host's house, and instantly he asked, "Where is my puja samagri?" So people were little taken aback because with whatever came with the suitcase, everything they had taken inside the room, arranged everything. There was no puja samagri in that. And Gurudev wittily he smiled and he said, "Where are my letter pads, my pen, my envelopes?" That is his puja samagri. And every morning, Brahma Murat, he gets up, writes the letters. So here is this book, Vedanta Through Letters. It's a very old book. My grandfather had it. Now, unfortunately, it is not even in print. I hope it can be brought out at least as a soft copy, because some of the most precious letters of Gurudev are in this. And this is one of the books that I had read back in my school days, and I was very inspired by this book. So I thought today is a sadhana day. We will reflect upon some of the letters. So devotees have asked questions, Gurudev has replied. I am going to share some of these on the screen, and we will read verbatim and reflect upon it. Are you able to see? Can you let me know? Are you able to see on the screen? There's a question, there's an answer. Okay, thank you. So one first question, this is the first page in the book. And Gurudev says, the questioner is asking that I am painting daily, I am an artist adoring nature with my art. Is it possible for me to reach the supreme goal through this medium? How to detach from nature and work? Tell me which way to follow for my sadhana. Mr. Subbarao from, that time it was Madras. Now it is Chennai. So see the answer Gurudev has given. So brilliant it is. An artist is nearest to the presence of the Lord. What is mere foliage for the ordinary man, to the artist, the same has a great message of an inspiring truth. An artist instinctively looks not only at nature, but in and through her, he tries to visualize a more noble grandeur of deep significance. He hears and sees with the heart's ears and eyes. See that sentence. He hears and sees with the heart's ears and eyes. Such sensibility and subtle capacities of perception make a man fit for the ardent embrace of the divine presence everywhere. But there is a danger. Your flowers of adoration are generally culled from the field of names and forms. See, this is pure Vedanta. We are bound by names and forms and attachment to the names and forms. So he says, your flowers of adoration are generally culled from the field of names and forms. The world of plurality has an irresistible charm to entangle and enslave our attachments, and they color us ugly by their poisonous stings. See, the language of Gurudev also is artistic language, so that the person who is writing is an artist can understand. So artist uses color. So he says the sense objects in the world, they will color us by their poisonous stings rather than we painting them. In a photographer's studio, the man working in the dark room will always deep color his fingers. Although the pictures that he fixed with the hypo are not stained by the color, the fingers that play in the hypo solution get stained. If you are a careful worker, you will use a pair of thin rubber gloves. So how those rubber gloves are worn, and in earlier days, people used to do this, develop this photograph. Nowadays, I don't know, many young people may not even know. So the camera film would be there, and then the exposed film is taken into a dark room, and then in various solutions it is put, and then the picture comes out. So he says, if you are careful worker, you will use a pair of thin rubber gloves. Similarly, an artist dives deep into the beauty of color, into the rhythm of curves, into the harmony of arrangements, into the play of light and shade. He is ever reveling in a medium of inescapable delusions. See that he is ever reveling in a medium of inescapable delusions. Though he may plumb the depths and detect the play of an unseen beauty working behind them all, the chances are that he may get stung by the poison of the medium. So that medium itself, the medium here is Prakriti, nature, what the question he asked. So that is the medium, and Prakriti has its own charm and its own power. And Bhagwan also says that my Maya is very difficult to cross. It is a divine Maya. Daivi Hesha Gunamayi Mama Maya Duratyaya. So what is the solution Gurudev gives to him? Wear the gloves of constant Ishwar Smaran on your mind. Those gloves will protect, just like the photographer's hands are protected by this rubber gloves from the hypo solution. Same way, these temptations in the world, these names and forms, they can delude us, they can strengthen our attachments. But if we have the gloves of Ishwar Smaran, he says, wear the gloves of constant Ishwar Smaran on your mind. An artist must endeavor to work in a spirit of dedicated worship to the worship of the Lord of Beauty that supports all. Success is sure to the sincere. Such a beautiful reply he gave, that if I paint as a painter alone is not enough. My painting must be accompanied with the dedication to the Lord. And Ishwar Smaran must be there throughout. Because all these names and forms also are appearances of that supreme divine consciousness alone, Bhagwan alone. So in that way, my aunt, Dr. Asha Chakravarti, she had asked Poojya Gurudev once that, Swamiji, I am a doctor, I have to take care of the patients, I go to the hospital, I have a family, I take care of the family, cooking, so many things I have to do. Where is the time to do sadhana? And Gurudev told her very simple, nice sadhana. He said, Every patient that you treat, you consider that patient as Narayana himself. And every time you write a prescription, write Om, remember Bhagwan. That itself will become your sadhana. So one may be a doctor, one may be an artist, one may be an engineer, one may be a teacher, whoever it may be. Gurudev himself was a teacher. But in every aspect, whichever role we may be playing, sadhana is to have constant Ishwar Smaran. Like Ramakrishna Paramahamsa used to say that, in the arena of wrestling, when the wrestlers enter, they apply oil and then they enter the arena, because if they apply oil, then they can't be caught easily by the opponent. Same way, we have to apply the oil of devotion and enter into this samsara. And that's why first thing in the morning to do is remember Bhagwan. And Gurudev gave the guidance on sadhana. If we observe his life itself, we will get so many pointers for sadhana. His day began with sadhana. The moment he woke up, we will chant Om 3 times loudly. And Poojya Guruji Swami Chinmayananda says that he used to listen when he was brahmachari and he would serve Gurudev. He says that early morning, first thing that he would listen is Gurudev's chanting of Om when he has woken up. And he says nobody's chanting he has ever heard of such a deep voice that Om chanting would resonate. He says that is still there. I remember every time. So day begins with Ishwar Smaran, Omkar. Gurudev starts the day with Omkar. Through the day also, if you see, he used to wear sometimes, this small mala, 27 bead mala, Rudraksh mala. And he would, if he's watching some program or some music program is going on or somebody is speaking or anywhere he is, sometimes he would be doing japa also. Even if you see in his letters, how many times he will write Jai Jai Dagdishwara, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Krishna, Krishna. If somebody bows down to him, he will say sometimes Krishna, Krishna. So through the day, we can find our own methods of remembering Bhagwan, and the bhav is very important. So that is the first letter. And today's sadhana day, so I thought we will reflect on some of these. Now, second one. Now this person, Srimati Malati Menon from Trichur, she asks, I am getting worried on even small insignificant things. Why is it so? How can I get out of it? In today's world, we are all the more, we face this situation. Little things we get very worried. Now see what Gurudev replies. First line itself, the entire answer is over actually. He says, when you thus get worried next time, get out of yourself. That is the secret actually. All worries are because of I, Mr. So-and-so, this ego and its own attachments, its own ignorance, vasanas. Gurudev says, next time you get worried, get out of yourself. We are so preoccupied with ourselves. We live in one small little shell of ego. That's why we keep getting worried, insecure. One of the definitions Swami Vivekananda gave of an atheist, he said, who is an atheist? One who complains is an atheist. Think about it. When we have Shraddha in Bhagwan, faith in Bhagwan, why will we worry? Why will we complain? We will do our best and leave the rest to Bhagwan. But when that surrender is not greater than our ego is much bigger, then we will keep worrying. So he says, when you thus get worried next time, get out of yourself. How to get out of yourself? Now the rest of the answer is for that. In the prayer room on that day, ask yourself, will I be worried on this particular circumstance in this house if I were my maid servant's son's daughter? No, certainly not. So the capacity to worry me is not in the circumstance. What a nice example, no? In the same circumstance, if the maid servant's son's daughter is there, that person will not worry, because that circumstance is not kept powerful enough to make that person worried. It is the person's attachment that makes it possible to worry. So none else is worried about it in this very house. No, certainly it is not in the circumstance. Then it must be in me. It cannot be in my stomach, nor head, nor hands, nor legs. It is not in my gross body, nor prana, nor intellect. It is in my mind. Thus you discover the exact entity in you who is getting worried is the mind. Now you must nurse and comfort the mind as you would your husband when he is worried. See that example. As you would your husband when he is worried. Explain to it why it is getting worried, how useless it is, how idle to worry when the cause for the worry is not in the circumstance. Make it feel shy at its own false worries. Also know the root cause of all worries. That maid-servant's relation is not worried of your circumstance, because your circumstance has nothing to do with her. So then it is the connection between the circumstance and you that is the cause of the worry. See the analysis. First it is the mind. Then this mind is connecting to the circumstance. Now this connection of the mind to the circumstance is the cause of the worry. Not by itself the circumstance, not by itself the mind. Connection between circumstance and the mind. Suppose, people say, right now US is going through recession, monkeypox is going on, so many challenges are there. People are scared that China can create a war situation with Taiwan, all that. Now this is circumstance. Then we have the mind. Now how the mind will connect to these circumstances, that will create the worry in us. And based on our own attachments, we want certain things to happen in certain way, and that is not going to happen. Then that all creates the worry. Now that is where the connection is. My son is not taking the profession that I want him to take. My daughter is not listening to me and she wants to marry somebody whom I don't approve of. Now the mind is worried. It's not because of the daughter, not because of the mind by itself, it is the connection. So he says, so then it is the connection between the circumstance and you that is the cause of the worry. This connection is maintained through attachments, delusions, desires, etc. This connection is false. Teach the mind to snap out of all such pain-giving connections, because they are born from our attachments and insistence. Then they will create worry. If the fire in hand burns the hand, indeed the quickest, cheapest, and the surest remedy is to drop off the fire. Thus, renounce attachments. What a nice example, Will anybody hold anything in their hand and let it keep on burning? No. Even a little bit by mistake, our hand touches fire and immediately there is a reflex action and we pull back the hand. Who is in their madness will take that camphor or any ghee lamp and put it on the hand and let it keep on burning the hand? One will not do that. But that is what we are doing in our mind. All these attachments we are continuously holding on, and they continue to keep burning us. So he says, thus renounce attachments. Renounce all I-ness and my-ness. Renounce personal vanity and self-importance. These are the false connection makers. So we can connect to the circumstance with the true connection maker rather than the false one. The false one is the attachments. The true one is when we face it with equanimity, with devotion, surrender, etc. So when one's bosom is free of these worry makers, there can be no worry to bother about. When you have accomplished this, you will find that whatever be the circumstance about you, in every one of them, be it sorrow or joy, insult or injury, loss or gain, failure or success, in all of them, you are in mental equipoise. So if I'm worrying, first I should identify which is my attachment. What am I trying to insist here, which is causing me the worry? Instead of blaming people, instead of blaming circumstances, instead of condemning oneself, that is no solution. And continuously worrying also is not going to lead anywhere. So what is the solution? He says, identify what is the attachment and drop that attachment. Then one will be in equipoise. Then comes samatha, samtushti, chitta shanti, physical, mental and spiritual peace. Samsara is no more to one who has perfected thus. When samsara has gone, what is left is the param sukham, nitya shanti, which is kaivalya or moksha. Straight, you see, from worry, the answer is connected to moksha direct. So then train your mind, watch the mind, try slowly and steadily to arrest, to apprehend, to laugh at, to cajole, to threaten, to plead with, to soothe and comfort the mind. See, these are all different tactics and strategies at different times we have to apply. Just like a child, the mind also has to be slowly trained and, it has to be groomed. One can't be all the time strict with it or all the time lenient with it. Different things at different times will be applicable, but all in the spirit of letting go of attachments and training the mind to be equanimous. This is not possible so long as you are identifying yourself with your mind. A non-cooperation movement practiced within against the mind tyrant is the only hope of the individual jiva. So we have to launch non-cooperation movement with the mind. If it is in the wrong direction, attachments and worries and stress and all those things, negative thoughts, in that direction if it is going, non-cooperation. One says, no, I withdraw, I will not support this, I will not entertain more thoughts, I will not add to this negative thoughts. Then what will one do? Turn that to the positive or start remembering the name of Bhagwan. So many of these, now he will give, Gurudev will give also some of the methods. So non-cooperation has to be done. Then he says, ride on the mind when it is tamely running the paths of dharma, the smooth roads of peace or love. So be very careful. Non-cooperation can't be for other times. My mind wants to do japa. No, non-cooperation movement. I will not do japa. He says, ride on the mind when it is tamely running the paths of dharma and the smooth roads of peace or love. So non-cooperation with the negative and cooperation with the positive and dharma. That is important. The moment it gets mad and runs wild, jump down. Let the mind do its own drunken somersaults. You confidently stand on the wayside and watch the tamasha in remorseless detachment. What a beautiful word is that, remorseless detachment. That is true detachment. If there is remorse in the detachment, then there is not proper detachment. One is still having attachment and some pain of giving up something. Remorseless detachment, because it's useless. Why to hold on to any of these attachments? When such worries come, don't yield, stand apart and watch how the mind gets worried, and not you for the worries. Meaning you are different from the worries. So you stand apart. The mind may keep getting worried. You are the witness. You keep watching. Oh, this mind is getting worried. I am different. And one of the favorite expressions of Gurudev was, they are in me, I am not in them. Natvaham teshu te mai in the Gita. So that's what he's saying here. Just as you pacify a child weeping for nothing. What the examples he has given are beautiful. Sometimes the child is weeping for nothing. Actually, the parent, an elder person wonders, why this child is wasting time weeping for nothing. But for the child, it is very important. So parent is not worried. One will pacify. So just as you pacify a child weeping for nothing, often by fearful threats, on occasions by loving words, sometimes by promises of some present, sometimes by a tender slap, so to manage the mind. The very moment you start detaching yourself from it and watching it, you will find that the mind has lost half of its stamina. As though ashamed of itself, it comes to you in surrender and awe. Now he comes specifically. He says, you have been worrying for a long time now. Thus, the mind has developed this tendency to get worried very strongly. Now that is what happens. We become habituated to worrying that sometimes if there's nothing to worry also, we are worried. Oh my God, there's nothing to worry. Because we are so used to getting worried. Something or the other has to be there to get worried. He says, you have developed this tendency to get worried. But never despair and cry out. Oh, that Swami is mad. He knows nothing of the practical difficulties. He says, don't do this. Gurudev is saying, please don't run away thus from your own kalyan. Curse the Swami, but help yourself. See that? Because many times our mind rejects all this, what Gurudev said. He says, no, this is not practical. Okay, then what else will you do? Take some pills. How that pills will help? It will make the mind more numb. It can help in some cases where it is necessary, but beyond that, it is our mental adjustment and attitude and tuning. So it may appear sometimes that, oh, this is all very impractical, very difficult, I can't do. And then we keep on waiting for some other solution where there's nothing else, there's no other solution. We have to put in the hard work, identify our attachments, drop them. So he says that please don't run away from your own kalyan. Curse the Swami. You can tell me anything that is impractical, this, that, but help yourself. The Swami also was a Malati Devi once upon a time. See this compassion of Gurudev, how he empathizes with that person and says, even I was like you one day, at once upon a time. He didn't drop down from the skies, meaning he is not some avatar or something who was born like this. Even he has gone through all struggles like an individual person would go through. So how he makes that person feel that if I can do it, you can do it too. See that. A saint is one who in solitude and patience has developed himself. The very same mind that is now madly agitated, that gives so much of worry and pain, is the ferry that must take us to peace and perfection, which is God. Worry, anxiety, desire, selfishness, jealousy, hatred, etc. are the dirt that lie heaped within us, accumulated during the millions of births which each one of us had lived in various embodiments. This accumulated dirt has now turned the Lord out of the inner temple. As though Bhagavan is sent out, the dirt is fully accumulated in the sanctum sanctorum. So what does he say? Empty his home, clean, purify it, sanctify it with devotion, invoke him, and he shall enter in, and then glory, glory, glory to the God mad Bhakta. This is what Draupadi gained, Radha accomplished, Meera experienced. See the examples. Because she is Malati, Gurudev has chosen these examples saying what Draupadi gained, what Radha accomplished, what Meera experienced. Even today, many are living the joys of the Lord's Griha Pravesham. See, we have exiled Bhagavan with our negativities. So it is up to us that we should cleanse our heart and invoke Bhagavan, invite him back to his house. That is a sadhana we have to do. So he says this, even today many are living the joys of the Lord's Griha Pravesham. Shri Krishna Govinda Hare Murare, He Nath Narayana Vasudeva is a universal song to be sung as he enters. He concludes the letter here. Such a beautiful guidance he gave on worrying. Next time we worry, we should remember this. So many points he gave. Identify attachment, sing the glory of the Lord, have non-cooperation movement. Remember, that each of us can have this attitude that we can evolve just like great saints and sages. So beautiful. So these are two letters. Now comes a very powerful question somebody asked, and a lot of people sometimes they ask us also. So I thought we will share this here. Gurudev's answer is brilliant. So this question is, a sannyasi's only work is to be in samadhi. He must remain in his humble kutia. Why do you come down to the towns and the cities? Go back to your kutia in Himalayas. Meditate and pray for us, the samsarins. And for the world, the samsara, right? Sri Chandra Mohan Sen from Calcutta, today's Kolkata. So, see that question. Sannyasis should go back. Why are they working in the towns and cities? They should meditate, be in samadhi. See the answer Gurudev gives. Priya Atman, immortal self. You know, if you see this, way Gurudev used to address, like blessed self, Priya Atman. From where he got this? Swami Shivanandaji Maharaj, he used to address like this, and Gurudev learned under him. So he absorbed some of the qualities of his own Guru also in this way. So he says, Priya Atman, immortal self. Black flags cannot frighten a sadhu. Rather, he welcomes every black flag waving, every curse, every insult. To a true sannyasi, respect, adoration, worship, prostrations, these are terrible trials. See beautifully how he answers this. For these are nourishments to the never dying ego. And that's why Tulya Ninda Stutir Mauni Santushto Yena Kenachit. That's the quality of a devotee. Same thing applies to sannyasi also. One doesn't crave behind recognition and adoration and worship and praise and all that, because that will feed the ego. Kirti, glory, praise, appreciation is one of the subtlest obstacles on the path of sadhana. So he says, to a true sannyasi, these are nourishments to the never dying ego. The rebirth of ego within is the fall of the sannyasi. So then, wave thy black flag aloft, cry down the efforts of the sadhus. But to send them back to their kutiyas, there is only one method: be thyself perfect. See that answer? Sadhus have come down, sannyasis have come down not for their sake. They have come down to help us. If we become perfect, they will go back quietly. They don't need to do anything. Why did Gurudev come down? When he saw the decadent state of the whole country, the culture is going through such decadence, and the Upanishads, the Vedic culture is so pristine, pure, divine culture. Ignorant of that, one is living in such deep despair. Gurudev said, now I have to take this knowledge down. To help us, they have come down. And look at the person, he's saying, you go back. It's like the patient telling the doctor, you go back. I don't need any treatment. So the doctor is saying, I will go back. You become healthy, I will go back. Like that Gurudev is saying here. Only one method, be thyself perfect. Get out of the samsaric mire. Wipe your face clean. Spread cheerful smiles of joy where today there are ugly tears of sorrow. To remove those tears of sorrow, the sannyasi has come down. And the Mahatma goes back to the kutia, but not till then. Then did we not see that 42 years Gurudev struggled, so much hard work he did, tireless seva, only to ensure that as much he can wipe out the tears of people, as much he can bring happiness to them. And he gave us that motto, maximum happiness to maximum people for maximum time. So now he says, now to your letter in more details. Not even the Shruti has dared to lay down rules for sannyasis of realization. Look at that. Fearless, Gurudev is. If you see his answers, he will always operate from strength. He will not be defensive for the sake of being defensive and try to cook up some reason. No. Operating from strength. He says even the Vedas cannot tell what a sannyasi or a man of realization should do. To say that a sannyasi ought to do this or that and to declare certain don'ts for a saint is like promulgating state ordinance for the convenience of a handful of lawmakers. See, please remember, this is a man of realization. It is not that sannyasi can do anything he likes. The point is, a person of realization has gone beyond the ego. All the dharma upadesh of vidhi and nishedha, do's and don'ts, is till we are in the realm of the ego. And this dharma upadesh will help us to come out of this state of ego. Somebody who's already come out of it doesn't need. That person is not acting out of ego. That person is acting out of Ishwar Ichha and completely surrendered to the divine. And that is what he is saying here. A sannyasi knows no law. He is beyond all laws. He has so completely renounced his I-ness that what he does is the expression of the divine will. Perfected saints alone are the executive officers of the absolute will. See that. Obviously, some sannyasis, all of us who are walking the path, we still have to reach that state. We definitely have to follow do's and don'ts and train the mind. But Gurudev is talking from his standpoint of realization. He says nobody can dare to tell the Shruti what should be done, what should not be done. Yet, sympathetically understanding the general import of your letter, Chinmaya answers your doubt. See, it's not arrogance what Gurudev said in the earlier paragraph. He is explaining that even Shrutis cannot dare to tell what rules sannyasi should follow. Yet, sympathizing with the question, understanding from where the question is coming, Gurudev is answering the doubt. It would appear that you are against sannyasis crowding the cities and towns and thus falling off from the traditional grand mummy description of the Jatadhari saints in the Himalayas doing tapas or sitting in samadhi. Because that's the notion people have, that sannyasi should be sitting in some cave, having long jata, matted locks, sitting in meditation, and remaining in stillness and silence. So now you see what he says. Great indeed is the loss, it is true. Loss to whom? To the sannyasi actually. A sannyasi among the masses trying to bless the generation through seva is doing only a fraction of what he could bring about by the spiritual waves of divine influence generated during his hours of meditation. A sannyasi can sit quietly and revel in the self, and that would, as though, that would create much more impact on the world. So in that sense, that sannyasi coming down to the world in the crowded cities, etc., and working hard, because that requires externalization of the mind. And sitting in meditation and withdrawing the mind has a different power. So he says, great indeed is the loss. It is true. Meaning the compassion of the sannyasi also is so much that they come down, leaving that higher state. I should not say leaving that higher state, but leaving that specific state of withdrawal. Realized men continue to revel in the self at all times, there's no doubt. But even when they are reveling in the self, the state of quiet withdrawal is more powerful than action. So he says, divine influence generated during his hours of meditation. Yet, Priya Saumya, the sadhu in meditation is only one part of the whole. The other part is a receptive world of samsarin. So Bhagwan manifests as the self within and as the world outside. That's what Gurudev is saying. A sadhu can revel in the self within and help the world. Or he can come down and serve the society, which is also Bhagwan Swarup only. The world today has become gross. People have so completely turned materialistic that they, in their preoccupations with the hourly tussle in life, in their sweating strife to earn and maddening hurry to spend, in their extraordinary lust and bloated greed, in their vulgar selfishness and colossal vanities, in their stupid values and thoughtless pursuits, they have come to find neither the leisure nor the capacity to wait for, tune in, and receive the subtle divine waves that the Himalayas beam out perpetually upon them. So Mahatma sitting in the cave can send out waves, but are we ready to receive? Our mind has become so gross. So he says, if Chinmaya comes to you in the city, the Himagiri station is not off from the air. It is a 24-hour relay broadcast station. See, that time radios were very common. So he is giving this example. That it is 24 hours relay is happening, whether in a cave or whether in the city. The sannyasi and the man of realization's transmission doesn't stop ever, whichever state one is in. But the sannyasi comes down to help us to tune our equipment. That's what he says now. So you see the language, he says Himagiri station. Like we had Bharatiya Vidya, what is that, All India Radio, and like that we have different radio stations. Today we have FM and so many things like that. He says Himagiri station. The sannyasi broadcast from Himagiri station. Probably your radio knowledge will make this idea more clear to you. The Delhi broadcasting station is every day on the air. If Chinmaya cannot receive it here in his kutia, it is because he has not the radio receiving set with him. But because of his not hearing the music, to deny radio waves in the ether above his kutia is but a colossal stupidity and a lamentable ignorance. Have a radio set, tune in to the required wavelength, and thus intercept the ether waves. So the Mahatmas are sending out waves even now. That's one of the reasons why we say that wake up early morning and do dhyan in Brahma Muhurat, because the great sadhus, sannyasis, bhaktas, they all are doing it at that time. And the environment has tremendous sattva guna. So he says, you tune up. Similarly, the Mahatmas in Samadhi are even today sending out day and night spiritual waves of light, power, wisdom and grace. But the gross generation is not receiving them. To teach them to become receivers so as to tune themselves at will to the various required wavelengths is the urgent need of the times if we are to avoid the imminent catastrophe to the rational animal called man. See the compassion. Gurudev came down for what? To help us to tune up our radio set so that we can receive the radio waves properly. The ulcerated world has to be taught as to how to expose their seriously affected head and heart to the curative spiritual rays of the Himalayas. Many times it happens today because of the transport and many other facilities which have increased. We go also to the Himalayas, but our radio set is not tuned. We go there, see the beauty there, and we click some pictures and we come back. And sometimes we go and even pollute those sacred places. So whether they are transmitting from there or whether we go from here and try to be in that environment, if our radio set is not tuned, we will not benefit at all. So that's why he says here, this is the exclusive job of the specialists, the sannyasis. They alone can do it. They alone have the knowledge and the experience in this religion of real living. Chinmaya is down amidst you only to help you, to serve you, to save you. See that answer, to help you, to serve you, to save you. Once you have learned the art of living the inner life of perfection, you shall become the powerful receiver that you really are. Then Chinmaya shall go back to meditate and pray for the samsarins and samsar. He says, yes, I will go back after I have helped you. This is called aggressive goodness. Even people who praise, one will be naturally good to them. But people who criticize, people who as though are your opponents or critics, and sometimes even they hurt and harm, to be good even to them and to help them, that is called aggressive goodness. Being good to the good is passive goodness. Being good even to those who are hurting me, that is aggressive goodness. That's what Gurudev says here. I will help you, and once you are redeemed, then I will go back and then I will pray from there. Now the sadhu's prayer of Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu are futile. Honestly, you have become worse than the rock that forms the walls of the sadhu's cave. For even the rock bearing the cave in which Vasishtha in his time lived and meditated is famous today. So if you go to Rishikesh, just above, if you go a little bit above Divine Life Society, you go, there is Vasishtha Gufa there. Very powerful place even today. That Vasishtha Gufa, those stones also have become very famous today because the Mahatma sat there and did the meditation. There's a nice cave, Vasishtha Gufa, and then there's Arundhati Gufa nearby. Gangaji is also flowing, beautiful, powerful, divine place. So he says even those rocks, they are famous today. Vasishtha Gufa, 18 miles higher up from Rishikesh, is attracting pilgrims because that rock had the Satsang of the Mahatma in Samadhi and gained its glory. People have become grosser than the Vasishtha Guha stones. Now allow Chinmaya to serve you, please. See this compassion. Hope the letter is clear. The theme is so grave that it refuses to be treated in a mere letter form. These are ideas merely suggested. You must ponder over them, analyze, scrutinize, and dive deeper into their bottomless treasure house of rich significance. See how compassionate of Gurudev to write so long answer full of this much of love, empathy, explaining logically, giving appropriate answers, analogies, just mind-boggling. Now we will go to one more. There's a common question that a lot of people ask, that if Bhagwan is the doer, let us see what the question is. God is in our body. Every action, whether it is bad or good, is done by God. Then why are we punished? Sri Ram Swami Iyer, Madras. So he says we are punished because we are not performing the action in the full realization that the Lord is acting through us. God can do but divine actions, and the divine actions can have no bad reactions, which you term as punishments. Simple, clear answer. The question is saying that God is in our body, every action is done by God. Then God is incapable of doing negative action. But we forget that God is the doer. We act as our ego. So he says bad actions are done when the actor is motivated by his selfishness, lust, greed, likes and dislikes, etc., which are attributes which he develops in his ignorance that the Lord resides in him. When you act as you, a separate egoistic entity, you are punished. When the you in you surrenders to the Lord in you and thus allows the Lord to act, there is no punishment and nothing but divine actions can get performed through such a perfected saint. That's a nice answer. That when the you in you surrenders to the Lord in you. Because ego can do many things out of its own attachments, lust, vanity, greed, all this what Gurudev wrote about. But when we surrender to Bhagwan and we say, I am an instrument, Bhagwan, you are the doer. And Gurudev lived like that. When somebody asked him that, Swamiji, next when will you come here? He said, I don't plan my itinerary. Whenever Narayana wills, I will come. So he used to live that way every moment. The bhav is, I am an instrument, he is the doer. So now he says here that kill the little I and live, see, think and act as the great I. All actions performed by such a perfected instrument of action can be only meritorious actions. Now the strange thing is we ask this question not for good actions and blessings. We ask this question when we are suffering. And good times nobody says, okay, I am only an instrument, Bhagwan is the doer and all credit goes to Bhagwan. That time all credit comes to me. But when we go through difficulties and pain and sorrow and suffering, then suddenly we say, Bhagwan is the doer, why am I suffering? While doing the action, we didn't remember Bhagwan. That was the problem. So he says all actions performed by such a perfected instrument of action can only be meritorious actions. Again, your question contains a palpable contradiction. You say that every action, good or bad, is performed by the God in you, and in the very same breath, you wonder why you are punished. See the contradiction? Karta is Bhagwan, but Bhokta is Jiva. That is a contradiction. How is it possible? If God be the doer, why not accept that God is the punished? If we are punished, it is because we have performed in our egoism the bad actions. In self-surrender, when you have completely eliminated the ego in you, there is neither an independent actor nor sufferer in you. Then alone is your proposition that God is the doer is true. See that? So clear. The contradiction is there in the question only. We have to have consistent standpoint. If Bhagwan is Karta, Bhagwan only is the Bhokta. But I am saying Bhagwan is the Karta and I am the Bhokta, especially for the negative karmas. That is not acceptable. So he says this. And so the conclusion can be faithful in your experience only when in self-surrender you have completely eliminated the ego. Such a nice answer. So in sadhana, the whole purpose of sadhana is this: to reduce our doership and enjoyership and completely let go of it. Bhagwan alone is the Karta, Bhagwan alone is the Bhokta. Sometimes it is, if you see in the Gita, it's very interesting. Who is the Karta? Sometimes it is said Ishvara is the Karta. Sometimes it is said Maya is the Karta. Sometimes it is said three gunas are the Karta. Sometimes it is said Prakriti is the Karta. Who is the Karta? Any of these may be Karta, but the point is you are not the Karta. We are stuck because of this small I. I am the Karta. All results belong to me. I must enjoy this. Why did I not get that? This is what I expected. This is not what I signed up for. So that ahankar is what is doing everything. That is aham karomi iti ahankara. So that I is very strong. Gita is telling anybody else is the Karta except you. You can take anything, whichever you feel like. Prakriti, three gunas, Maya, Bhagwan, Ishvara, whoever. But you are not the Karta. So and how to experience that? The best way is surrender. Saying Bhagwan is the Karta, Bhagwan is the Bhokta. He is doing through me. He is only experiencing through me. I don't exist. Now that is sadhana. Last letter for today is, so here is a extract, Gurudev's letter. There is no question here. So he says here, Blessed Self, Om Namo Narayanaya. See what Gurudev gave the advice to the doctor. He follows that. Every letter he will write this, Om Namo Narayanaya or Jai Jai Jagadishwara, something he will write. Hari Om. All these are names of Bhagwan. Now there is a reference to some event that he had to go to and they could not meet, etc. So he says, I am sorry, I am the loser, I could not help it. Never mind. This is one of his favorite expressions was that, never mind. Sometimes he will tell a joke and people won't get it also. It's never mind. And then people say, oh, this is the joke he said. He says, never mind. And he always used to say that to be equanimous in life, this is one mantra, never mind. We got success, never mind. Got failure, never mind. Be equanimous. So he says, now I know we are going to be together soon. Very positive, optimistic. So now work well and pass in high division. Any work given to us must be fulfilled fully and entirely. Please keep on writing. That is the only way we can keep in touch with each other now. Make use of me. See this compassion. Gurudev is not thinking, Arey Bapre, so many letters are there, I have to reply. And he's not saying that bus ho gaya. I hope people don't write more. He's telling them, you write, that's the way I can be in touch with you. And what he said earlier, no, that he has come down to save us. This is the compassion. 3-4 hours in the night he sleeps. And he doesn't feel that, oh, Bapre, so many letters I have to keep on writing. And as I write, more replies come and this is unending. We feel with all modern technology and all that, we feel today so much of challenges to reply to every email, every WhatsApp message, and people message on the social media, etc. And in those times with such less technology, and he was writing manually, and he's saying, please keep on writing, because that is the way he will be in touch with this person, and the person can get slowly evolved. That is the compassion of the Guru. Now let's see this line. He says, here in Tanjore where he was, he says, here the arrangements are poor, workers weak, patronage nil, and supporters none. This is in 56, see the date. Tanjore, 14/7/56. Gurudev started Chinmaya movement in 51, Chinmaya mission as an organization in 53. And it's just 3 years into the organization, and he is struggling to establish it, and demand is a lot, but people are not there. Don't we complain? With so much infrastructure which Gurudev already created for us, we still complain. Oh, nobody working, Swamiji, I only have to do all alone, very few people. Every time the same people have to keep doing everything. That time Gurudev was doing it alone. And yes, there are some people who help, but they are not enough for the amount of work that is there. So he says, here the arrangements are poor, workers weak, patronage nil, and supporters none. But see that except, and he doesn't despair on and on and on. One line he explains, this is my situation, and look at the whole turn after that. Whatever be the circumstances, ultimately our work will shine out. For it is the work of the rishis entrusted to us. This is what his bhav is this, that this is the work of the rishis, this divine knowledge of the great rishis has to reach masses. And the rishis are working through me, and I will reach it to the masses. He is not there for his self-projection. He is not there for any, claim that I am the person who is reviving Hindu culture. Nothing. This is the work of the rishis entrusted to us. We shall spread it all over the country. He doesn't despair that I have so less workers, so first let me figure out in Tanjore how to do. His vision is still big, that we will spread it all across the country, all over the country. You too must come out one day to help me, will you? He is sowing the seed also, that you also have to be a part of this. This is a great work. Everybody is required for this work. Honestly, we cannot exclude anybody. Everybody is required in this Mahayagna of Sanatan Dharma revival, and more so today when we are in such a deep existential crisis. So he said, will you? Then how to prepare yourself, he says, see. Then study well your lessons and give an hour a day for the study of the scriptures. Practice intensely for half an hour a day, meaning study for 1 hour the scriptures, do sadhana for half an hour intensely. The rest of the time also, watch the inner one in you as steadily as we have learned to watch the outer flesh. Meaning, keep that attitude of alertness in the mind. So these are some beautiful letters of Poojya Gurudev, and so much guidance he has given to us in sadhana. Indebted we are to him. No matter how much we do, what we do, we can never repay our gratitude to Poojya Gurudev. So all we seek is the grace of the Master, that we can surrender, become empty, and like he said, purify ourselves, cleanse our mind, and do the Graha Pravesham of the Lord, of the Sadguru, and become the instrument to spread this Rishi culture to maximum people across the country, across the world, using all types of communication methods, technology, whatever we have, all our talent, skill, knowledge. What is the use of all that if we can't use it to serve Bhagavan? And we can keep cultivating new capacities, ways by which to reach. Same old methods may not work. We have to innovate, try doing new things, reach out to the people in the language, in the medium in which they understand. That is what Gurudev did. So that is what we also have to do. So last part of this satsang today will be, we will listen to Om Shri Chinmaya Sadgurave Namaha and meditate on Gurudev. 5 minutes only it is, so let us do that. I'm just sharing the link here.
Shri Chinmaya Sadgurave Namaha. Om 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 Shri Chinmaya Sadgurave Shri Chinmaya Sadgurave Namaha. Om Shri Chinmaya Sadgurave Namaha. Om Shri Chinmaya Sadgurave Namaha. Om Shri Chinmaya Sadgurave
Okay, Hari Om. So, some of you want this letter. Just give me 1 minute. I will post it here only. Yes. So in this chat window, I'm just posting this letter that we took, different letters that we took. You can download it, and whoever wants to use it can please use it. Thank you, everyone. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.